Hello, and thanks for joining us on the midweek edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Ozubahu. Today on the program, President Buhari to inaugurate new cabinet on 21st of August as presidency reschedules induction retreat, swearing in of ministers-designate. Kogi APC stakeholders sue NWC over adoption of indirect primary to pick governorship candidates. Catholic bishops urge federal government to save Nigeria from insecurity, say time is running out. And later on the show, police detain hip-hop star Techno over the use of strippers on Lagos streets. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju, Shola Ojewusi, and Emeka Madunagu. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for joining us once again. Patience is said to be a virtue that one must imbibe. Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari seems to be patient about running the affairs of the country, but the citizens appear to be in a hurry. After screening of 43 ministerial nominees by the Senate last week, most people looked forward to their quick inauguration, but such people must wait a little longer. The presidency has let it be known that President Buhari will inaugurate the ministers-designate on the 21st of August. According to a statement from the Cabinet Office, the inauguration would hold at the Federal Executive Council chambers of the Presidential Villa after a rescheduled ministerial retreat on the 19th and the 20th of August in Abuja. Surely, can we wait? Or we can't? Gentlemen, Babajide, the president was elected on the 23rd of February this year, and people will start counting. Some people will want to start counting from that time. That I already know I was coming back by 25th or 26th, that I was coming back, and who am I going to work with? People will talk about President Ramaphosa of South Africa. People will talk about the
Boris Johnson.
Do you understand? People hitting the ground, running immediately. It happened during the first tenure, and that time almost entered the recession time. 6 months. Now we know our ministers designate. I saw one funny story last week, and I just had to convince myself that this story cannot be true, that the president had to set up another committee to look at who gets what. I was scandalized. I thought seeing the ministers ordinarily, the president would have known this person is going to be this. Yeah. So inauguration, after the Senate finished the screening on Tuesday, by Wednesday, the EXCO meeting.
Well, the truth is the president said I wanted to appoint people that he knew. But you look at even some of the ministerial nominees, the president does not know some of them. How much of Akpabio does the president know? How much of Akpabio does he know? The young man
they worked together before?
The young man from
Abia,
from Cross River, the brilliant, yes, Agba. The brilliant guy. How much of him does the president know? We know the people that the president knows. So even now, he can't claim to know so much of some of those people. But we appointed them as ministers. The president has always relied on trusted friends and associates to help him take these kind of decisions. A lot of the people that the president appoints, he knows nothing about them. Look at when the president even appointed the director of SSS. He spoke in Hausa, Montaba Hadu, and have we ever met? And the DSS director said no, which means they had never met. So it can be a virtue in a way, which means that, okay, he chose the guy not out of sentiment. He chose Bichi out of merit. he was advised that Bichi could do the job, and he went for him. He didn't want to pick someone that he had known from Adam, maybe someone from Katsina. Bichi is from Kano, you know? So he chose him. It can work both ways. It can work positively and negatively. So the point is that I'm making is just to explain why he was clearly not ready to give portfolios to those ministerial nominees, because he still needed to do more
research about
get more information and then determine where it is best to place those people. So if you simply assume that because he said he wanted to appoint people that he knew, that he already knew all of these people, it's a lie from the pit of hell. The president does not know some of those people or did not know some of those people. That is a fact. He may not even recognize some of them if he sees them the next day. You understand? Because this is a fact. We know the people that he does not know. So for such people, he will still need to ask questions. Gentlemen, where do you think that
this person can fit in?
You see, Buhari is a complex character. During the military era, he was accused of being a dictator that was not listening to his colleagues. In fact, there was an interview that this old man in Kano, this former Nepo man in Kano, Tanko Yakase, he said that Buhari was not listening to other generals. And in the coup speech that they read when they were going to kick him out of power, they alluded to that.
Yes, Dogon.
Yes. So you have a situation now that he listens a lot.
In fact, it takes his time.
It takes his time. But Nigerians will still complain that this man takes too much time. But this is a political season. He cannot take decisions in a rush like a military officer would do. So you need extensive consultation so that at the end of the day, you will be able to take a decision that will please the majority. I think that he's trying to balance things. The rest of us want decisions taken with speed. But given his own nature, given his limited knowledge of the people around him, he believes that he has to do a lot more consultation before taking the right decision.
So, Shala, when you look at the problem the country is faced with and the attention that will be needed to start stabilizing things and solve the problem, if you look at 2015, between that time and the time we waited for ministers, you know how many foreign investments, portfolio investment that actually left. And a lot of people will say, no, this is still not tenable.
I think I disagree with Mr. President. The kind of speed he's using to handle something like this. We may not like it, but you know, sometimes when there's a proverb that says, if you are accused of being too loud-mouthed, if your mouth is too loud and people accuse you, then you learn to maybe close your mouth or at least reduce the length or the wide nature of your mouth. If you have been called slow, he actually admitted that
severally.
He was slow. They call Baba go slow. Sometimes, you know, in things like this, I'm not going to excuse the president for what is happening now because he had enough time to prepare for this. He knew from time that he was going to contest again. He should have been weighing his options for a long time before now. He said before that he didn't have people, the people he chose before were not known to him. At that time, we expected our president to have prepared his mind for the kind of people he's going to work with. Whether we like it or not, we should not make ourselves a kind of laughing stock. Yeah, he's taking his time, but for how long? The issue of ministerial appointments, ministerial portfolios, I'm even still baffled. I'm still wondering why we will have a National Assembly, supposedly trying to vet the number, the kind of ministers the president is sending, and they don't even know the portfolio of those people. I don't know on what basis they were actually trying to clear these people. because you are being asked to come and serve the country. We don't know what area you're going to serve on. We don't know what competence you have regarding that particular area. It's only after you've been passed by the National Assembly, you've been given a free rein, that you'll not be given a position. What if you're not poked in round pegs in square holes? So there is a lot of issues that the president should not dilly-dally about. And I'm not really comfortable with the kind of slow pace.
Some people will say, some people will tell you that it's even better if you don't get the list than we getting the list and now thinking of who is going to get what at the end of the day. I thought that should have been resolved now. But when you look at the team and you start looking at who are those ones that will face budget and planning, finance, who are those ones with commerce and industry, those ones that you need a little bit of some expertise.
Yeah,
in this crop of...
Yeah, well, like has been said, you know, the president has really chosen the style he feels is best for him, even though, even if he's not working for the nation. And I feel he needs to consider how his style helps Nigeria or hurts Nigeria. Right now, we're supposed to be in the middle of the 2019 budget, but we are the ministers to implement it. We have the medium-term economic framework for 2019 to 2021, outlining goals, outlining, you know, how ministries will award contracts, and then ensuring fiscal discipline. Because we've been talking about, you know, loopholes. You know, we've been talking about budgets not being properly implemented. But who are we focusing on, for instance, that will guide the economic policy? We're talking about security. Who are we going to entrust with, you know, the task of Ministry of Interior? We saw what the last man did the other time. He was more interested in his aides cleaning his shoes than getting the country, you know, well secured. We're talking about the petroleum sector. Right now, we're waiting the completion.
They've allowed him to go now.
Who?
No,
yeah, but we need to. But you see, we need to know the kind of character.
You want a greater punishment for him?
No. He's gone. We need somebody with a different idea about the office. Somebody who has an understanding. So, if you say, okay, XYZ is likely to be the Minister of Finance, then the right questions will be put before him. Because there are developments. We've just signed a continental free trade agreement. There are certain developments around the world. Even in the petroleum industry, there are developments. Who is going to guide the policies in these areas? So the president pushing it again to August 21 means we're talking about 4 months after the elections. And we're talking about almost 3 months after his inauguration. And then we're supposed to be in the middle of 2019 budget. We're talking about 2018 budget was not fully implemented. 2019 is hanging. Government is still looking for money to finance it. And then very soon, we'll be looking at the 2020 budget. Why do we like to do things without coordination? There should be timelines. We must run a government with precision, a government of precision, a government that has timelines, a government that sets goals, sets timelines, so that it can begin to fit its objectives, fit its actions, and its forward projections into these timelines. Otherwise, we're just joking with public policy in this country. And it's affecting all sectors. It's affecting the private sector, it's affecting the public sector, it's affecting a lot of things.
Okay, I have Sulaiman from Oyo State. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Just go ahead with your contribution.
Okay. As usual, I'm just trying to say this in addition to...
Go ahead. Are you there?
Yes. I said, as usual, I'm just trying to say this in addition to every fine thing that you have said in the studio so far. You see, I'm surprised that this kind of thing could be going on. If it were the Assembly, the National Assembly, that delayed the screening or the approval process up to this point, what would Nigerians be saying?
Oh, no.
So the question of blaming the 8th Assembly, you can see how unreasonable it is turning out to be. It is a question of consistency of inefficiency of the presidency. Let us admit it as such. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Suleiman, for your contribution. Do you agree with Suleiman?
No, to an extent, he was right. Many people blame Bukola Saraki and his people for the late passage of the budget. But it's just that we are a very biased people. Even the president had to chase his ministers. He had to set a deadline for his ministers to go and defend budgets. Well, here we were just blaming the Senate. These guys were not ready to even defend the budgets. They were not ready.
Even the MDGs.
You want to defend budgets.
44 MDs.
You want to defend budgets, and they are going to ask for certain critical items. You are not ready. So they tell you, go back and do a proper preparation to defend the budget. So the president had to set a timely, because they were just not reluctant to go and face these people. But what Nigerians will do, so it is Bukola Saraki and the Senate, they will abuse them. Whereas the executive was also to blame for the delay. Because if they were ready early enough, they will be able to come before those people, present the budget and go. Why did the president have to set a deadline for them? If you Google it, you will see the story.
I think we should start learning to do it right in Nigeria. You know, we just mentioned Boris Johnson came in and he announced his ministers. Ramaphosa, even Senegal, Ghana, you know, international best practices when it comes to speed of governance. We have to learn that now. You know, we can't continue to do like this.
We can't learn that. We can't learn that. Every country is run in a manner that reflects the kind of leader.
So then let the leaders reorientate their minds.
No, because you are talking about learning. But we've had presidents. Learning. No, it's not learning. It's not a matter of learning. It's President Buhari's style. You know, I once said that people begged the president to hit the ground running, but the president hit the ground and stayed there. It's a matter of style. And he has also spoken about this style, that this is his own way of doing things. So it's not our fault as a nation.
Yes.
It is not our fault as a nation.
I agree with
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
The way a country is run reflects the kind of leader at the helm. Look at Rwanda, for example. Really, Rwanda is a reflection of the kind of leader that it has. Yes. Botswana is a reflection of the kind of leader at the helm. Uganda is a reflection of the kind of leader that they have, although I'm not happy that since 1986 he's been in power and has not left. Yes. Whereas he was the one who came to Abuja in 1992 and said any African leader who has spent 10 years in office must have overstayed his welcome. Yes. But he's been there for over 30 years.
And he's grooming his son.
You know, and he doesn't think that he has overstayed his welcome. But you cannot fault the fact that he's a very decisive leader. Museveni is a very decisive leader. So this is the thing. We have our president. This is his own style. His key performance index is around his integrity. It's around that. He has not told you that, look, I'm a fantastic speaker. Oh, I'm quick at doing things. No, we've seen that this is his nature. So it's not our fault. We can't begin to learn it. Tomorrow, if you have a new president, a different president, you don't be surprised that on the day he takes office, he may actually take office with his ministers.
Yes.
So it's not Nigeria. It's not a Nigerian problem. It's not a Nigerian problem.
Yeah, but also looking at how it's affecting the nation.
And we know that it affects us.
It's affecting the nation.
We know that it affects us. We've talked about it.
Some people try to say that PAMSEX can run ministries, but you have the Federal Executive Council meetings, the weekly meetings. Why don't PAMSEX attend those meetings? Are you going to bring
We leave our country to those PAMSEX to run. When the president said the other day that PAMSEX were better than politicians, we saw how they dealt with him with his first budget.
Of course.
Who were the people who padded his budget? You had the first budget that the president passed. It was civil servants that sat down and padded. So, and I said at that time that, oh, they are these civil servants, you are praising them. Nigerian civil servants, you are probably president. They will teach you an exemplary lesson. And that was what happened.
In getting us out of recession, speed is very essential.
Are we in recession officially?
Are
we out of it? Realistically.
No,
you know what?
Realistically, we are not in recession.
The fallouts are still there.
Well,
The signs that we could descend into it are there. But you cannot say that we are recession.
No, we are not. But we shouldn't even be close to the edge of the cliff.
You know, you have to inspire the people who work with you.
Okay.
I think the president has to.
The president needs
that.
to move faster.
I still keep using the word learn. I hope. I just.
No, anyway, if you say the president should learn, I'm happy, but not us to learn. Okay,
no, the president.
Those who fail to learn from history, according to George Santayana, are doomed to repeat it. The statement is echoing in Nigeria's north-central state, Kogi. The bone of contention here is the 16th of November governorship election in the confluent states. Some members of the state chapter of the All Progressive Congress, APC, are warning that the Zamfara fiasco may befall Kogi if the party failed to act fast. The APC chieftains have sued the National Working Committee, NWC, for adopting indirect primary mode for selection of party's candidates for the poll. In a suit filed at the Federal High Court in Abuja, the APC chieftains, who are members of the Hadi Ametor-led faction, want the court to stop the indirect primary proposed by the NWC, among other issues. Do they enlighten us here? What is happening? This is an intra-party thing. What is happening? I thought before the 2019 election, APC said we can agree on consensus, we can agree on indirect primaries, we can agree on direct primaries, whatever it's agreed upon by the stakeholders, so be it.
No, if maybe Oshomole has suddenly become the one-man stakeholder for Kogi. Because the truth is, those guys have a point. They have a point. How did the party decide that it was going for indirect primaries? Do you simply choose an option that favors a particular individual or a group? How did you come to that decision? That is the question. That is the question that they should ask the leadership of the party. Because this is how they laid the foundation for failure. And the stakes are high for Kogi election. The stakes are high. Where we warned them and they refused to listen, they lost about 4 states. So all that needs to be done now is to take a decision that is inclusive. The direct primary approach is the most participatory of all. You can't compare it to others. You can't compare it to consensus. You can't compare it to indirect, because more people get involved in the process when you decide to go for direct primaries. Every card-carrying member, every legal member of the party will have the chance to vote. And that is why, for majority of the party members, this is the option that they prefer. The truth is, the ESCO in the state is firmly in the hands of the governor. The structures are in the hands of the governor. But when it comes to direct primaries that everybody is involved in, it's extremely difficult for an unpopular governor to win an election. Yaya Bello is popular to an extent, but he's not hugely popular. And you need to be hugely popular to win an election. That is a fact. You need to be hugely popular because your popularity must be across board. If you are not popular in Kogi East, you are popular in Kogi Central. That is where it comes from. You are popular in Kogi Central, and you are struggling in Kogi West with Dino and the rest of them defeating you in Lokoja. You are not going to win an election. It's as simple as that. Because what happened the last time should afford people an opportunity to be able to gauge what is likely to happen in the next election. What the people are saying is, the people who have picked their cards, who have picked nomination forms, they are the ones now saying we don't want indirect. And in taking the decision, it is the contestants that you should talk with. You get the point? If all three of us are involved in a contest, the mode of the contest should be acceptable to all of us. It's not outsiders that should decide how we want to go about it. So that is the point. And majority, it's not, when they said the Hadi or Metro group are the ones, this is ignorance. Everybody outside of Yaya Bello's group does not want indirect primaries. Whether it is the former chief of naval staff or the other people, or the two brothers, or the two brothers from Abubakar's loins, nobody wants indirect primaries except those who support the governor, because they know that is the approach that will favor the governor.
Okay. We'll take this breather. When we come back, we'll discuss more. It's still journalist hangout. Please don't go away. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you are right on time. Journalist hangout. We're reaching you live from Television Continental here in Lagos, Nigeria. And we've been talking about the intra-party crisis within the All Progressive Congress in Kogi State. Shola.
Yeah, you know, 2 years ago, if anybody told me that Zamfara, Adamawa, and Bauchi will not be in the hands of the APC today, I would say, are you dreaming? But you know, it became the sum total of certain missteps taken by the party that led to the loss of Zamfara, that led to the loss of Adamawa, that led to the loss of Bauchi. Those were supposed, in quotes, strongholds of the APC.
Yes.
Kogi is in the hands of the APC today, but there is an imminent danger if the National Working Committee of the party does not really sit up and know what to do about Kogi. Let me tell you, there are people who are laughing their minds hoarse today and hoping that this crisis will continue. They are just waiting by the wings, and any opportunities, you just discover that this party will again lose Kogi State. Already, there are a lot of feelers based on whether the action or inaction of the current governor that has made it a bit difficult for the state to be as easy to clinch as it was before. But now, if you don't do it right, you know, you are creating a kind of disaffection in the party hierarchy. What have they done, the National Working Committee that is, what have they done to really know, to feel the pulse of the party in the state, to know what the people really want, to know how best to be able to retain that state before coming up with this idea of indirect primary system? Yeah, some states, you know, there are some states, when you propose it, we know whether it will work or not. But not for a state like Kogi. For the time being, they have to know how to play with caution. Zamfara was even more glaring. A lot has been, even right here, has been said about the possibility of losing that state, and they lost it. Now, people have to listen. They have to know that sometimes if you are trying to overprotect the incumbent, because that's the way I'm looking at it.
That's what happened in
Yes.
Adamawa.
Yes.
That's what happened in Bauchi.
If you're trying to do that, then expect the opposition to take over that state. And, well, that may be the prayer of people like Dino, that the crisis should continue.
You can't pray for them now.
But that's their prayer.
I believe that everything that has been said, you know, is in order that APC stands a big chance of losing Kogi State. It's very clear. I mean, because you have a number of aspirants on the side of the governor. You have a number of aspirants on the other side. Last month, Hadi Ametu said he had withdrawn his case. Suddenly, the case is back again in court. And then you have people saying that the principles of democracy, one man, one vote, charity must begin at home. It must begin from Kogi APC. You cannot have indirect primaries. And what does the APC constitution say? It says that direct primaries ordinarily should be adopted. But where another mode of election, whether indirect primaries or consensus, will be adopted, it must be agreed upon by all the stakeholders in the party. Now they're using the excuse of the issue of the voter register. you know, that, okay, we don't really have a clean voter register. No. And what has that got to do with this? This is about democracy. So the APC in Kogi State can continue to, you know, hurt itself, continue to injure itself. Other parties are getting ready. Dino Melaye, who is a strong player in that state, is waiting in the wings. There are aspirants too waiting in the wings. Look at, for instance, what happened in one of the ministers-designate, Emeka Nwajuba. You saw what happened. What they did to him in APC, he simply moved to a court party, and he still won. Now he's a minister. So anything can happen. At the last minute, somebody might just move, play some very deft moves on the chessboard, and win.
Jude, don't you think in terms of the secretariat, the national secretariat of APC might be looking at logistics, they might be looking at the problem that might be faced with these direct primaries, Kogi, the topography, to hold all across the local government, from one local government to the other.
But Lagos, they did it in Lagos State.
Let him finish.
Yes, 3-4 hours in terms of logistics, in terms of manpower to conduct all this, that it might be stressful. So instead of it, just choose delegates and let them assemble in Lokoja and let's choose a candidate.
That's not democracy at the end of the day.
Well, they've been doing it before.
Let me tell you, which logistics did they use in Osun? Because Osun used direct primaries. Osun has more local governments than Kogi.
But it's not as big as Kogi. From one local government to the other in Kogi State, sometimes you move 3-4 hours within a whole state.
So are you saying that Kano did direct primaries? Kano did direct primaries. Is Kogi as big as Kano? It's not. Once you made up your mind that this is what you want to do, you will succeed. The people who are desperate to hold on to power, they are the ones who always look for the cheaper and the easier option. This is what the people want. And as we have said, if you must retain that state, then the APC must be united. How do you then unite the party? You must find out what the people want. It's not a question of people are quarreling and then you decide to side with one person. You will lose the state. Because it happened in Adamawa. And remember, I warned them from the beginning of 2016 that APC will lose Adamawa State. From the beginning of 2016.
I remember.
But they didn't listen. Okay, look at APC now. APC lost some states because of crisis, one crisis or the other. How many reconciliation meetings have you had that they have called? Just tell me, even if it's one, since we finished the election. Is it not about time that they began to reconcile people? Just tell me if you are aware of any reconciliation meeting that they've held after the election, in view of the fact that they lost those states. Is this how to unite a party? So identify what the people want in Kogi, especially the aspirants. Because it's those aspirants that are strong. They are the ones who will mobilize their people either for the party or against the party. So if the aspirants say they prefer direct primaries, whatever it takes you, since Osun was able to do it and they didn't complain about vote register, party register and all that, if Lagos was able to do it and they didn't complain that some places are riverine, some places are this, and they managed to do it and they delivered, Kogi should be able to do it. Kogi is small when compared to some states in Nigeria. So they should be able to do it. This is the thing. Otherwise, you go for the option that the minority prefers, and then you pay on election day. You pay dearly on election day.
All right. Time is a terrible thief, robbing us of many opportunities to act on issues. We have been told that time is running fast against Nigeria in our collective will to check worsening insecurity in the country. Worried by the wanton killings in the land, Catholic bishops have called on the federal government to take urgent and drastic steps to stem the looming danger. Rising from a meeting in Ado-Ekiti, Ekiti State, bishops from province of Ibadan, comprising Ibadan, Oyo, Ondo, Ilorin, Ekiti, and Osogbo dioceses, noted that time is running out to save the country from impending doom. Shola, this is worrisome.
You know, the Catholic Conference is a powerful voice when it comes to being the conscience of the nation. And anywhere in the world they issue statements like this, it has come out of a well-thought-out decision to really do so. And the earlier the people in power listened to them, the better for the good of the country. There has been a lot said about the security situation in the country. And, don't forget that the Catholics too, they're one of the direct victims of this insecurity issue. One of their own was killed recently in the East. And apart from that, there is a lot going on. We just heard of a pastor of the Winners Chapel being killed along Abuja, Kaduna highway. There is a lot happening in this country that such voices of conscience,
and they took the wife
must be listened to. His wife is still there, So when you have something like this, I think the powers that be, the buck stops on the table of the leader of the nation to see how to better coordinate the security situation in the country. For the better, we have to rethink the way we handle things in this country. And it's reaching a very dangerous dimension in the sense that it's now becoming a kind of situation that's going towards ethnic dimensions. When it gets to that level, we have to be very scared of the kind of situation that happened in Rwanda. Little things like this that we tend to overlook may really go out of hands if they are not well taken care of. So when people, organizations like this that are not known for frivolities, come out with statements like this, I think the people in power must listen, they must sit tight and know that these are people who are not just being political, but they are coming from the depth of their heart to express their opinion of what has been well assessed as a very terrible security situation in the country. So the leaders, we need to rejig our security structure. We need to look at how best to keep this nation one, because when people begin to have doubts about the integrity of the security system, then there is a big problem in our hands. And the presidency has the greater role to play in this. That's my take on this.
Emeka, we've never had this so bad in my over 4 decades of, growing up in this country. And when I look at it, it's that you have crisis in a particular part of the country and they quell it after some time. But right now, when you want to draw the map of Nigeria and want to see that confidently, you can't point at 6, 7 states to say that, look, we have peace, we don't have banditry, we don't have kidnappings, you can't point at 6 states in Nigeria right now. What's wrong?
Yeah, but we saw it coming. It was just a matter of time. It was just a matter of time because we were joking with security. Even before this present administration, certain steps that were taken concerning security, we showed that the leadership of the country, successive administrations, did not take the issue of security very seriously. And I'm not talking of just this Fourth Republic. It goes back even to the military era. Certain steps ought to have been taken, but things were left to deteriorate. And now, what do you have? I've said it on this program a number of times, that it's unfortunate that crime, there was a time politics was the most lucrative enterprise in Nigeria, but today, crime is the most lucrative enterprise in Nigeria. Crime of any type, whether it's fraud, whether it's robbery, whether it's kidnapping, whether it's banditry, call it any name, all kinds of horrible names, is the most lucrative enterprise in the country today. And it does not speak well of us as a nation, because it appears that, the criminals continue to have the upper hand. They just come out, stop vehicles on the road. Can you imagine having, people being able to stop a whole vehicle, stop vehicles, and pick people on the road? You saw what happened when the driver of the UBEC chairman was killed. You saw the number of vehicles that were brought to a halt, and bandits were just picking people. Where does that happen? This is not, we're not at war. We're not at war, and bandits have a free rein. What it shows is that the entire security architecture of the country has broken down. We must tell ourselves the truth. It has broken down. Because you cannot have, the state has
power of coercion. The state does not exist because, you know, it's meant to be a theater. The state exists because it is constitutionally guaranteed, and the powers of the state must be exercised. So definitely the government must come out decisively and put an end to all this. I mean, a lot of people cannot move about freely. A lot of people cannot travel. You find out that even within areas you thought were safe, even Lagos, people don't feel safe anymore. Areas that you felt, well, I mean, people could move around easily, there is no part of the country. Somebody went with his fiancée, you know, a foreigner. He went somewhere in, was it Kaduna? And they were killed some months ago. You've seen different areas. And when you look at the dimensions of this incident, you just find out that the key thing is this. The security chiefs, I think they've run out of ideas. So President Buhari needs to just show them the exit door and bring in people with fresh ideas.
As we wrap up on this, Julia, we ask you the same thing. It's getting out of hand.
Yes, and if these clerics are complaining, it's because they are affected, especially in Kaduna State, that I would describe as the headquarters of kidnapping in Nigeria.
Kaduna State?
Yes, even by police records.
Yes.
More kidnappers are arrested in Kaduna than any other state in the country. If I can argue from here to tomorrow, I will point out police record. I'll point out police record. And clerics get killed in Kaduna for fun.
For fun.
By kidnappers. Traditional rulers get killed in Kaduna by kidnappers. Kaduna is not fantastic for tourism. But what happened at Kajuru Castle, as in fact, made it difficult for any sensible person to want to go to Kaduna on the basis of tourism. Why do you go and kill people like that? Because you want to kidnap? The same Kaduna-Abuja highway that El-Rufai declared the other day had become safe was where that cleric was killed by kidnappers. And they took the wife away. So why won't these people complain? Of course they will complain. They have every reason to complain. The question is it true that insecurity is spreading panic in our country? The answer is yes. Many people are terrified because of the scale of insecurity. We can't continue to tell ourselves lies.
And it's hurting our economy.
Seriously. Because you and I now, we can't move freely to places where we used to go and hang out and play with friends. We can't go. If we want to go, we'll think twice.
Can't go anywhere.
You can't go to your village where you like.
For now, I'm in Lagos.
You can't go. Look, you are even lucky. In some states in Nigeria now, kidnappers operate like armed robbers. They break into your home and take you away. It now happens in Kaduna, the headquarters of kidnapping in our country.
Even in Abuja.
It now happens in Taraba. They will break into your home and take you away. Somebody was telling me of a very big judge in Kaduna, in Taraba, that they almost kidnapped some days back, if not for his security men who overpowered them. So people will be worried. Look at what Joseph Hayab, chairman of CAN in Kaduna, was saying. We feel strongly that the federal government and the Inspector General of Police should do something about Kaduna, since we have a governor who does not listen and feels he knows everything. So this thing is beyond El-Rufai. El-Rufai can't secure Kaduna. Let the federal government do its best to secure every time we keep hearing stories of kidnapping. In Chikun local government in Kaduna, they go into your home to kidnap you. Kaduna people are watching me, is the truth. Well, that's where I started my career as a journalist. So I know Kaduna, I'm connected to Kaduna, I still go there. They go into your house, bring you out, kidnap you in broad daylight. So what are we talking about? We should be able to secure our people. If we can't secure our people, then we have failed. That's what it means. The president said on April 30 this year that he will fulfill his promise to protect Nigerians. And I'm reminding the president, of that promise that he made. Because time is running out, as those people said.
Time is running out?
Time is running out. Okay. Please secure our people.
When a society becomes debased, what constitutes morality and decency becomes vague. An online video of a truck conveying half-naked girls dancing seductively in a transparent glass box around the Lekki-Ikoyi Link Bridge in Lagos was greeted by widespread outcry for it. The troubling video was linked to Nigerian singer Augustine Kelechi, popularly called Techno, and he was arrested by the Lagos State Police Command for breach of public decency. Techno, who has since been released after questioning by the police, apologized for the incident. In his apology, the singer said they had to convey the dancers in the transparent truck because other vehicles were damaged. Gentlemen, we can't show that on the hair here, but definitely I saw it.
It has gone viral.
Okay,
it's everywhere. I mean,
I saw it in social media, and I was like, this particular woman that was recording it, this particular woman that was recording it, she was actually she made some comments, and she was like, man, what?
This is the end of the world.
This is the end of the world. And that men that have even seen it around, they are excited.
People didn't even want to overtake
They didn't want to overtake.
Yes.
I was shocked. I said, what?
But you know, gentlemen,
what's going on?
Something that's bothering me is what has happened to creativity in the entertainment industry in Nigeria. Can't you do something to convince your listeners or viewers
your followers,
with something more creative other than having to debase women?
That's what sells right now.
You know what? We can do better than that. You know, creativity,
Creative
there's a
thinking.
way you create.
Yes.
You will sing a song, you will pass a message, you will entertain without having to demean not only womanhood, but you know there are certain things we hold high as people of value in Nigeria. There are certain things we didn't used to see in the days when we had honor. But it's like we believe if we don't expose women, then we cannot sell our records.
I used to call you old school.
Well, you know what? That's the problem. They will call us old school, but it calls to question the creative minds of the current crop of the new school artists that we have. You don't need to have to go to the level of disgracing. I mean, you know, there are certain moral values we have to adhere to.
It was actually a musical video that the guy was shooting.
Yeah, he's just trying to play down.
But you don't go to the point of offending
sensibilities,
values, offending sensibilities.
No.
I mean, we need to be guided. Much as we try to succumb to pressures to be like the West, to import foreign values, we should also consider the effect on the society. We see what is happening in Western nations. You see mass shootings, you see some of these things. We should ask ourselves the question, can we cope with the effects of these things? You see people say, no, allow people. There should be more freedom. You should not hold people back. And I ask them a question. Have you flipped the other side of the coin? Have you considered the effect? Let's even begin with your family. Have you considered the fact that you will lose control over your children? Have you considered the fact that you could actually be in a mall and somebody just walks in, opens fire, and finishes everybody? Because look at what happened some days ago in the US. People are pointing at broken family values that they've broken down. So if you now bring Nigeria, we have our problems. We are battling with insecurity. We are battling with poverty, joblessness, a lot of things. A lot of graduates don't have jobs. Then we now want to add the debasement of womanhood. We want to add other value because we love to copy other societies. And at the end of the day, when the damage is done, will we have a nation?
This is like a big irony. If you go to any nook and cranny around the country, you find churches, you find religious organizations. On Sunday morning, everywhere is dry.
Everybody's holy on Sunday.
In church and everything. But if you see the flip side of it, the rate at which people embrace this thing and if you see the argument on social media, you discover that some people are not really, they don't even take it as an offense for what Tekno just did.
Yeah, just the same way that some of them were defending Naira Marley the other day and were abusing some of us. They say we are old men. But yes, we are old men, but we lived in a better Nigeria than today. And the records, our records speak volume. These boys, some of these boys who are losing their heads all over the place, they can't even defend their degrees. Because education has collapsed, morality has collapsed, everything has become inverted about our country. How can someone put almost naked women in a bus
cage somehow,
and they were dancing, and you claim that you couldn't find another vehicle
to convey them? Meanwhile,
convey
the
them. What he wanted to achieve was to just titillate people, titillate and tantalize people. And he succeeded. But when he was arrested now, they claimed that he was sick. So they had to release him. So it's not even politicians alone who fall sick suddenly when they're arrested.
they are caught.
He's the one who sang the song that, Rarao, Rarao. You can't do this because I will say Rarao to this kind of thing. This is wrong.
Yes. Okay, one of his songs.
You know, many of the artists need to be reorientated. You know, like I said, creativity. You know, in the creative industry, there are so many ways in which you can pass a message. You know, if they are well thought, but you know, the industry is already surrendering itself to charlatans, because charlatans will do anything because they don't have any other
They
way.
want attention.
Yes,
you can
attention. But there is always a
Naira
way.
Marley smoking India hemp.
You see
as if it's
with
already
big
legalized
grams.
in our country. They're smoking
Big
India
gram
hemp.
from India
And
hemp.
then DLA cannot go and get him.
No.
Eh?
There are
That's
some,
his own dance.
But you even look at it.
No, you
okay,
can create dance.
I
I
give
like
an
the dance. I
example.
can dance that way. But the thing is, must
That's
you
Sophie
smoke?
dance.
Because they must realize that they are role models to the younger people.
Impressionable.
So when you smoke India hemp with those hefty wraps in public, you are saying that you've not even been brought up properly. So do you want the children to copy you? And you will come and sing Rarao, Rarao.
Let's even, okay, they say we are old school.
We should be telling you
Let's
Rarao.
go back to Michael Jackson's Thriller that sold 30 million copies. Did you see the creativity? Still go back. Look at the creativity Thriller. Did you see naked
It will last
women?
generations.
Did you see naked women?
And check out the lyrics of those
And look,
songs
30
of those
million
days.
copies then.
Forget about
There was
the
no
big
social
things.
media.
mind
So
you,
maybe
there are
talk about
some
the small things,
outstanding. There are some outstanding videos you see.
I mean,
Okay, that's the song. I know that.
look at it.
Okay.
You
Forget
need
about
to
the big
be,
things.
you need
So
to
make we
be,
talk about the small things. Oh, yeah. Rarao. We should be telling you, Tekno, Rarao.
Rarao, yes.
But what you did is wrong.
Yes.
What you did is
they
wrong.
shouldn't be allowed to get away.
And when they arrested you, you fell sick. They can't lose their freedom for 1 minute.
I think the regulators must draw a line. You know, the mind of the youth, impressionable youths especially.
And we have strip clubs all over now.
Yes, sir.
But again, even the video.
If we are not careful, those strip bars, they will throw their doors open. Women will now dance naked in the open. It won't be behind closed doors anymore. Because that's what they are trying to introduce by putting... Look at one idiot the other day who put a chain on the neck of a woman and was dragging them around. What has come over us?
I want to thank you, Emeka Madunagu. Thank you.
Telling Tekno Rarao.
Shalom, Josie, thank you. I've never called BKO. I wonder how you get all these lyrics.
I listen to their songs now.
Thank you so much. That's our offering today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can also watch Journalist Hangout on our YouTube. That's youtube.com/TBC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I'm Ayodele Uzubakun. See you tomorrow. God bless Nigeria.